You ready? You ready for me to stop the music?
Yeah, yo, get it. Yeah, get it started. Jonathan is cracking me up. Jonathan, you are cracking me up.
All right, Tiffany.
You got it started? I need like my all my the hangout.
Yes. It's live right now. I can put it out.
Okay, we ready?
Ready.
Yep. Let's do this thing.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Librarians Network Forum today, Marketing in Your Library. I am Tiffany Whitehead. I am the Librarians Network President for ISTE, and today I have some really great friends of mine with me today that are going to be sharing some tips on how to market your library, brand yourself, so lots of really great things. The way that this is going to work, they're going to introduce themselves in just a moment, and they're going to share some of the things that they are doing in their libraries. And at the end, we're going to have a chance for some question and answers. So if you have some questions, keep those in mind. And we have our favorite question. Called Lounger. Oh yeah, favorite. And you could. And Nikki Robertson. So they are going to introduce themselves, and then they're going to share about their libraries. So Nikki.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. You know, librarians are a special group of people. But a little bit about me, if you don't already know me. I'm Nikki D. Robertson. That's my Twitter handle as well. I'm just starting my 23rd year as an educator in Alabama. I started out teaching 5th and 6th grades. I've worked 8 years as an elementary librarian, then moved up to the high school library, where I've been for 9 years, and I'm actually leaving libraries, but not really, to be an instructional technology facilitator this year in a school that's going one-to-one with MacBooks. So this year with 3rd and 4th graders, so I'm going to be definitely looking to my PLN, you here in this room, to help me know some technologies and activities that I can do with my teachers and help them to be able to integrate those MacBooks at the higher SAMR model level, and looking for lots of collaboration from you guys. Don't forget also, we're on hiatus right now, but TL Chat's the 2nd Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the Twitter chat that we do specially for teacher librarians. TL News Night is the 3rd Monday of every month. If you did not get a ticket to the breakfast tomorrow morning to hear Jennifer Lagarde, we'll be doing a live TL News Night tomorrow right after the breakfast at the Bloggers Cafe, and Jennifer will be our special guest. And don't forget about Tiffany and the gang with the TL Virtual Cafe that offers free webinars for librarians the 1st Monday of every month. And that will all get started back again in September, so please tune in to all those if you're not already familiar with them. Next, we have Alyssa, who you see is very famous on the Mount Rushmore.
So, Jonathan, who is in the audience right now, he's the one who did that.
Where's Jonathan?
Jonathan, stand up. That is you. That's all you. He is another one of the BAMI nominees, and he made that without putting himself on it. So we sort of put that up as a joke because, honestly, I don't know how I'm a BAMI award-winning nominee for librarians. But I have 14 years teaching experience. I was a high school history teacher before I became a librarian, and I sort of sucked at that. It wasn't my best thing, I'll be honest with you. And now I'm a middle and high school. I was a middle and high school librarian up until 2 weeks ago, where I am now director of supervisor of technology for a school district, and I will be supervising librarians. So I know that's been a hard thing for me, but I'm gonna love it. So, and then I'm a TL Newsnight anchor. I'm PT Chat, which is parent-teacher chat. Ooh, I speak with my hands, and so I hit things. Parent-teacher chat co-moderator. So that's on Wednesday nights. It's a really good chat, especially for anybody who's looking to connect with parents in different ways. And as you see, a BAMI nominee. And here is Michelle Cooper, who we love.
Hey, hi, I'm Michelle Cooper, and I have been in education for 16 years, most of that social studies and English. And kind of like Alyssa, I found my home when I came to the library, and I just absolutely love my job. Every day is awesome, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I am from Henderson, Texas. I am the librarian at Henderson Middle School. I was high school librarian for a long time. Recently, in February, moved to the middle school. And I am TL Newsnight anchor. I am TXL Chat founder. TXL Chat Texas. Sorry, Librarians Chat founder and moderator, and president of LibSig for Texas for TCA. So I'm excited to be here and excited to share ideas with y'all.
Okay, so it's our turn. So we thought we'd start out by showing you this, because this is really the audience that we have now. So that's our audience. These are the students that we have nowadays. They are digital natives. They quickly learn how to do all of that. So it's our job as librarians to engage these children and to market it to them. We don't want to become, oh wait, it went weird on me. We don't want to become the zombie librarians, and tomorrow you will be hearing all about that. But so we need to find ways to market what we're doing. Everybody here who is sitting in this room are amazing librarians that are taking the time to come to a technology conference to learn more about technology and to learn how to market your library. There is nothing that I am doing any different than what you guys are doing. You guys just need to learn how to put out there what you are doing. And so we do not want to become those zombie librarians that, you know, our jobs are expendable. Sadly, I hate to tell you that, but in today's society, we are expendable. And so with marketing and with, you know, putting out there what you're doing, you make it so that your job is less expendable. So I'm going to talk to you a little about how I marketed my library, which is SOMS's South Orange Middle School Library. And so that's a picture of my library. Look how pretty it was. And so I use social media, lots of social media, free, easy to use tool. I'm going to talk to you about some of them that I used. The first one, which is the one that everybody uses, or I would hope everybody uses, if you do not have a Twitter account, please, I beg you, and I can tell you everybody on this panel begs you to get a Twitter account. 140 characters, and it is game-changing, because in a second, in 2 seconds, you can tweet out what you're doing, and you reach the students, the parents, the administrators, the educators out there. That's how you reach them, and you build a personal learning network. I would not be the librarian I was today without my personal learning network, because we're the only librarian. I was the only middle school librarian in my school. Who else was I going to talk to? I wanted to genreify my library. Who else am I going to ask about that? I'm not going to go to the science teacher and be like, what do you think on genreification of the library? They'd be like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I could post that out there on Twitter and get the results from the experts, from Tiffany. Like, Tiffany helped me so much when I went to do that, because she was like, here, Alyssa, I have this resource for you. And Shannon Miller was like, I've got this. You're learn from the experts that way. And that's how you do it. And you can reach parents that way, and you can reach administrators. And that's what made it so awesome. Twitter, honestly, best resource. And then, so here's an example of a tweet I sent out not too long ago, where I said, kids are learning Animoto today. They love it. That then got retweeted by, if you see the tweet on the top says, retweeted by Brian Osborne. Brian Osborne's my superintendent. All I did was tweet out what I'm already doing in my school every day. I was teaching them Animoto. I always tweet them Animoto. I just showed a picture of what I was doing. He now knows that that's what Alyssa's doing all day. And that's cool that Alyssa's doing something great with her students. So, you know, that's an easy way to reach the administration, is by that. The other one that we are doing, and we have been really lucky to be doing, is I helped organize a poetry summit. And some of you, I don't know how many, if anybody's in here that was part of my poetry summit, please like raise your hand or stand up, because there have been some people that I was lucky enough to have connecting globally. And it was a global collaboration that we did via Google Hangout. And we had teachers and students and librarians from around the world coming in and talking to our students. You have to break down those classroom walls, and I'm going to keep hitting that mic because I talk with my hands because I'm from New Jersey. And, but, Nikki's laughing at me. But the Poetry Summit was a great way to collaborate and to show people some of the things we do. I also do a virtual debate too. You can find both of those stuff on my website, more information about it, but they're great tools. Use Google Hangout as much as possible. Right now, I think we're on a Google Hangout. We're broadcasting live via Google Hangout. So the other one, this is where the kids are. The kids are on Instagram, guys. They really are. My 5th grader came to me the other day like, Mommy, can I have an Instagram? And I was like, no. But that's where why are we not meeting our students where they are? So I had an Instagram account, and I put out pictures of stuff that I was doing in my library. Stuff like, you know, there's them presenting. There's pictures of them. There's, you know, them with the 3D printer. I would put out pictures of my books. Like if I got a new selection of books out, I would take a picture of it and be like, come to the library. And those books flew when I would do that. Just putting it on Instagram, and they all followed me. So that's where I met my students. And it was also a way for me to teach digital citizenship, because I would follow my students and I would be like, guys, are you really sure you should be posting that picture that I saw there? Think about that. And I would do it in a nice way. Like I wouldn't call them out there, but when the next time I saw them in the, you know, in the library or someplace, I would say, hey, let's think about what we're posting. Another huge one for me is Pinterest. It is really where I curate all my ideas. It's the place where if I find something good at a conference, I will put it in there. If I find a cool blog post, I will put it in there. And I share my Pinterest page with my teachers. And so they know, okay, you know, here's a whole board on great apps. Here's a whole board on, you know, cool ideas for your library. And it was a great way for them, for me to gather information and for them to learn from. So I really like Pinterest. And you can see like some of the boards that I have up there. And we also did famous, like I also used it in my library as a way to, you know, curate like famous people that have gone through our schools and stuff like that. So it's sort of like our little yearbook in a way, or, you know, famous alum too. So like, great resources. It's a great place for resources, and it's a great place to get ideas. I get so many ideas from Pinterest, I can't even tell you. Reflection, blog. I'm not as good about it as I should be, I'll be honest with you. I am not, but it's a great tool to learn more about others and to reflect. When I went through and I genreified my library, I blogged the whole process. And there were days that I was like, I wrote in there, like, I don't know what I was doing. I'm in over my head. I'm ridiculous. What was I thinking? Like, but I write those, and I share that with people because it's a similar, everybody will be like, write about, hey, that was so cool. I did all these things. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, like, I'm going to write, like, if you read one of my latest posts, is all about how overwhelmed I feel being a new administrator. Because I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm going to say that because I want to share with you what I'm feeling and learn from others, because then I feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this world. So I'm not going to tell you something that I don't feel like it happens. But I don't blog as much as I should. People blog more, and you should read the blogs because they do amazing things. And it's a great way to market, not only market what you're doing, but to connect with people. And then, so this one is like sharing my journey, and it's how I post about the big move I did, and how, like, day one, I'm pulling all the books, and, you know, I talk about the process. I should have put, like, day 3 when I was like, oh, God, no. Another huge one was a game changer for me was Edmodo. Honestly, game changer, because my library website became static. It was where I put my, you know, my links to my databases, my stuff like that. Edmodo is where I connected with my students on a daily basis. It was the place where they would connect with me. They would ask me questions. I would be teaching a lesson on something like databases or anything, and I would put the resources up on Edmodo. And I would say to them, if you have any questions, Edmodo me. And they would come to me and they would ask me the questions. They'd be like, Mrs. Malspina, I tried Edmodo. I'm having a little trouble. What's the password? What's that? And I was quickly able to get back to them. And if I wasn't able to get back to them, another kid got to the answer before I did. It became a game changer in our school because it was the only place where all our students had access. Oh, see, I told you I was going to do that. Nikki's laughing at me. But it was the only place where all the kids had access. I allowed it open to all the students because in Edmodo you make classes. And so they would be talking with their class. But in there, I allowed it access to all the students in the school. So I had 500 kids in my group, which may overwhelm some of you guys. Like, you don't have to start that way. But what it allowed me to do is it allowed the kids to have access to each other. So a lot of times it became the place like, I was out sick today. What was the homework? What did I miss? And it became a place for them to connect. It was an amazing tool. The other one, and what I said is it's really where the students went for information. And you see, like, I put up stuff, so impressed with how you did the virtual poetry summit. And there's a student that wrote, like, hi, so some people on TV wanted the project information. I took a picture of it and I posted it up for you. I mean, that's learning at its best. Right there, the students taking the initiative to do that. And so the other thing I want to talk to you about a little, and I wrote about it for School Librarian Workshop, but I want to talk to you a little about it, is the year-end report. I know you guys are like, year-end report? Ugh, I hate doing that. That's the thing I hate doing. But it honestly was one of the things I liked doing the best because it really gave me a chance to reflect and think about what were all of those things I did this year, because we all do so many things during the year and we never stop to talk about them. So in my year-end report, I did that. Get creative, rethink it, put it as a think link, put it as I've seen people do it as Animoto videos. I did mine as an iBook and took all my like Google Hangouts and stuff like that I already had records of and put it in. Get creative, because people then will read it and look at it and see, oh my God, you had that many people in your library this year? Like, nobody thinks that we serve like the entire population of the school like 12 times over. They don't think that. They think we sit around and dust books all day. Okay? But no, you know, so when you show those statistics and you prove that data to them, do that. But do it in a creative way, because then it gets their attention. So I also started doing at the end of the year memes, because my students love memes. We all love memes. So I took this one, and it was hard to make it fit, but it was like, SOMS, don't make him sad. Return your books on time. Okay? And so I would post it on Edmodo and tweet it out and post it on Instagram, and the kids were like, oh my God, Mrs. Malspina is so crazy. But they were remembering to turn their books because they used a mem to do that. So that was another like fun, easy way to get them, because you want to reach them where they are. So now it's Nikki's turn.
So I'll just say ditto. And really, a lot of the things that Alyssa talked about are exactly what I'm going to talk about as well. And I know sometimes when you come to conferences like this, your brain is overloaded and you can actually become panicked and or where do I start? So before I even show you anything that we did in our library this past year, let me tell you what I tell my teachers. Choose one thing, one day with one class and try it and see how that goes. Then choose a different other day, see how it goes. Small little bites. Don't try to jump in and do everything that you've learned or everything that you see. The most important thing is to share. The most important thing is to let your voice be heard. Otherwise, nobody knows what you're doing in your library, and nobody understands why libraries are critical to a healthy school. And so we have to speak up. So let's talk about branding in your library. I just went into the Hoover High School Library in Birmingham, Alabama this past year to an awesome library with a great staff. I was the second librarian. We had 2 library aides. I was very blessed. We were going one-to-one with iPads. Every kid in the school, almost 3,000 students and approximately 300 teachers, all got iPads. And so I was mainly in charge of the PD. But the librarian who was there before me, as well as my co-librarian, Crystal Camp, they had the foresight to be following the American Library Association, and knows years ago now the American Library Association decided we're no longer media specialists or media centers, we're libraries, school librarians. And so they made a point and had the principal invest the money in this nice metal signage here that's so everything we did in the library had something to do with the library at HHS. And so branding it as we're a library now and getting that across to students and to teachers that that's what we are. Twitter, again, our Twitter handle there for the library is @thelibrary@HHS. And there's a picture of my library right there, just the middle section of it. But using Twitter helps to let people know about the library events you're having, celebrating the fantastic things about others in your school, and great. And I cry because now I've left it. But I worked with administrators. 2 of my administrators are the moderators of the Alabama Ed Chat and US Ed Chat. My administrators get it. They understand about being a connected educator and how important Twitter is in connecting with others. But what they would do is every single day they would walk around to classrooms and take pictures and tweet using our school hashtag about what our teachers were doing in the classrooms, what our students were doing in the classrooms. We celebrated every day the innovative things that were taking place in our school. And I think that's really important, that you do that and you celebrate others as well. So you'll see that I'm tweeting about a lot of others. Here's our library hashtag, and you can see Hannah Zarzor. She's one of our English teachers. She was a brand new English teacher this past year, and I wrangled her into presenting with me at the Alabama Ed Tech Conference at 2 sessions. We got a new outdoor space. So, you know, our teachers were even in on tweeting with us and tweeting about us. And so that's really cool when your teachers get into it too. We have a Facebook page as well. As you can see, we're the library at HHS on Facebook. Same things I was putting on Twitter, I would put on Facebook. But, you know, I wanted to reach my audience wherever they were, so I did use Twitter and Facebook. So we had that there as well. You know, book reminders and celebrating others, same things we did on Twitter. Also Pinterest and Instagram, because the kids are on Instagram. And let me see if I can get this to hover just right. I should have made it bigger. It's okay. There we go. All right, so the Pinterest page, this was really interesting. All of our teachers were super excited at the beginning of the year to get iPads, and that every kid in the class was getting iPads. And so everybody started sharing these great resources through the email system. Well, you'd open your email box and it'd be like blowing up with stuff. And then, you know, how do you go back and find that one particular email you wanted to find again with that resource? So I started an HHS shared resources Pinterest board and added teachers to that board, and then instead of blowing up our email, if you had a resource you wanted to share school-wide, you could just add that resource to the Pinterest board. If they didn't want to be a pinner on the Pinterest board or didn't use Pinterest, I told them just email me. I'll stick it on the Pinterest board for you. So that's another idea as well. And then again, like Alyssa did, I have a bunch of different boards for my teachers as well. You know, all about Google Hangouts, all things Google, because we're now going to Chromebooks in Hoover, copyright and fair use, everything for every single subject area. And then bring your teachers in on that as well. So if you have a social studies board, get all your social studies teachers on board as well. Instagram, same thing. We use our logo, the library at HHS. We use that logo on there as well. And we just post all the different things that we are doing in our library. For instance, we set up charging stations in our library here and put up a huge sign so that our kids would know. But it was not a fancy, expensive charging station. We took the end table that was there next to a little casual seating area, and our IT person, Keith Fulmer, who is amazing and awesome, just turned it over, took a power strip, attached it to that, and then we just ran a bunch of wires up to it and then labeled each of the wires. Yeah, we just labeled the wires, whether it was an iPhone 5, iPhone 4, Android device, iPad, whatever it was. And so it was very cheap and easy. We didn't really have to buy anything for that. And, you know, heck, we've had zero funding in Alabama for going on 9 years now for libraries, so we had to do that. All right, so now let's talk about making your library interactive, collaborative, and engaging, because that's really important. You can put up all the displays you want, but if they're not interactive, if they're not engaging your students, then they're not really going to pay attention to them. They're not going to get anything across. So I always made sure I put QR codes in all of my displays so that they could interact with each other. We had blind date with a book, and there was a QR code down there for them to go through and recommend books, but we also covered books so they wouldn't know what book was in there, and they could check out the book, but they couldn't know what book it was. We did our March Madness where the kids used QR codes in conjunction with Edmodo. We had a different Edmodo group as it went down, you know, to the Sweet 16, Final Four, etc., so that the students and faculty could vote on our summer reading books through the March Madness style of doing that. During Thanksgiving, I had What Are You Thankful For Padlet that the kids and the teachers could scan and add what they were thankful for. And then we also had, and these are just a few displays, we had a recommended reading. So we made avatars of ourselves. Myself, Crystal Camp, and our two library aides made avatars of ourselves, which was really hilarious. And we pulled out, and we had shelves that were the books we recommend. Here are the books Miss Robertson recommends. Here are the books Miss Camp recommends. These are our personal style, the books that we like. All right, so interacting, connecting, and collaborating with students. One thing that we did, you look at this picture right up here with Sweet Sarah with a little puppy dog on her head. Just because I was in the high read, leave behind my easy read picture books, because those books, and that's what I miss so much about the elementary library, are those easy reader and picture books. But we would have every Monday our self-contained special ed children would come into our library, and we would read stories to them, and we would do activities with them, whether it was arts and crafts or whatever. So this particular day where Sarah has a little puppy on her head, I read a book to them about a little boy who wakes up and I think he has an alligator on his head, if I remember the story correctly. I can't remember now because it's been crazy, Issy. Your brain doesn't work right after you've been here a couple of days. And so after I read the book about the little boy with the alligator on his head, I had an app where you could have all sorts of different animals, and so I just went around, and whatever kids wanted me to take their picture with my iPad of an animal on their head, I would take their picture, and so I let them pick what animal they wanted on their head and did that. And I also had the iPad mirroring, because we had a gigantic TV not this gigantic, but gigantic television in the area where we read to the kids, and so they could see themselves on the iPad as I took their picture, and all their friends could see it too, and that was really fun. Library aides. We gave our library aides a grade. They got a credit for our course, and so we used Edmodo with our library aides to give them their library assignments. But one thing, there's my grandson. So one thing that they got graded on is they each had a section of the library they were in charge of. So they had to put the books back on the shelf in that section. They had to make sure they were in the right order. Everything was dusted and neat. But they also had to create displays to help sell their library section, which is kind of hard if you have reference, 400. But, we expected them to do that. We didn't care. We were like, you had to do this. And so, like, right here, this little girl, her and her dad actually worked together to create the end zone hole here, and for her to put that together because she had the sports section. There you go. There she is right there, Kiera. She is so precious and sweet. This one you can't see too well. It's he had crime tape all around it because he had the crime section, and I had a substitute come in who was, and I can't talk. I'm old. I'm a grandmother. I've been teaching 23 years, but she was very old. And she came in and she whispered to me. She goes, "Now, over there where the crime tape is, we're not supposed to let the children check any of those kinds of books out, are we?" And I was like, I just smiled, and I was like, yeah, no. Don't let them get those books. That's why we have a display for them. So I just kind of walked away from that one, which is a miracle for me to keep my mouth shut. So, oh, Alyssa, why are we back on you?
I don't know,
because everybody loves you. Also, go to events. The kids like to see you at events. I went to the prom. It was so much fun. And this is my Flickr. I pay for a Flickr account because I take pictures all the time. I irritate people by taking pictures all the time. But constantly, like at least 50 pictures a day I'm taking, and I'll upload them to Flickr. That's why I pay for an account, because then you can upload as much as you want. So I make an album for everything I do. But I'll never forget when I was an elementary school librarian. One day I was helping out in the cafeteria in the morning with breakfast, and one of my little kindergartners, Mary, she goes, "Miss Robertson, why are you here? You're supposed to be in the library." So I'll never forget her little sweet voice, and I just loved her so much. So I went around and harassed my library aides at the prom and made them take selfies with me, which was humiliating for them. They were like, "Oh my God, Miss Robertson, you're doing that." But I love him. Charlie was the one who made the crime scene area, and he also, when he got done, made a crime scene around my desk area because I don't have an office. I moved out to the circulation desk because I don't believe.
See, you did it too.
I don't believe in having an office. I think you need to be right out in the middle of things and visible.
I do too.
And so he put crime tape across where I normally sit. So that's how he. How I'm appreciated there. All right, let's go through, and I've got to hurry, I've been told. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we put up a television. When I got to the school, they had a dry erase board because we have 7 different areas of the library that could be reserved for class use. I was like, why do we have a dry erase board? We have iPads everywhere, so our IT people put up a big TV, and we would put the schedule up there so the kids could just look at that. But one thing I started to incorporate was quotes at the end of that schedule every day, and we had students who would do the quotes. This real quick, I made the kids, as part of their library grade, make a tutorial of our library using ThingLink and, what's that called? Oh, Telegami.
Yeah.
So every single one of these stars is a telegami that a different library aide made, and pretty much does it in And we throw parties. We threw an end of the year party and gave special gifts to our library aides that were seniors. Faculty and staff, make sure to connect with them. We do professional development. This was really cool. Our two administrators did a Twitter party in the library to help teachers who did not know how to use Twitter, so that you would have people who knew how to use Twitter in there with people who did not know how to use Twitter. They used our large screen television to have the Twitter feed up there. Lots of food and candy and fun stuff going on there as well. So there's all sorts of different things. This is where I was co-teaching with a teacher in my library, and they felt comfortable with that. We had authors come in. This lady here in the middle, and this is clickable. We'll tweet out this later, and you can click on it because I got to hurry. Her family was actually on the Titanic when it sank. And she wrote a book about them and how they survived and what happened. And then she came in and she dresses up in character and tells the story, and she just completely engrossed me. But one thing I do whenever we have guests in the school is I do a Google Hangout, and I broadcast it out to the world so that it's recorded. I blog about it, and I have it there, and I invite others who aren't at my school to be able to take part in that. And so you need to learn how to do Google Hangouts so that you can bring all this wonderful stuff to your school. We use Overdrive at my school, and the big Overdrive bus came out, and so our kids got to go out and tour the Overdrive bus. We also work very closely with our public librarians. Our public librarian would come in one Monday every month and read to our special ed self-contained students as well, and they loved her, Miss Katie Jane. She was very enthusiastic. We couldn't really match her enthusiasm, but we tried our best to read like her. And then we made our library available 24/7. When the kids got iPads, we had them all come in and we helped them set up a folder on their iPad and then help them put in all the different apps that they would need for the library, like Alabama Virtual Library, our Overdrive app, our school app. I'm going to click on this real quick because this takes you to our Destiny page. These are all of our schools. And right here, we had all the different connections, like following us on Twitter and all those different things that we had there. And all right, teacher tech resources. No, that's not what I wanted. I'm running out of time. But what I did is everything is available to my teachers. I always recorded all my PDs as well because I believe in rewindable learning. But blogging, reflection, accountability, what I say when I talk to teachers about blogging is, yeah, I'm not a writer, and it doesn't matter if anybody writes it, but why is it the minute you stop being a student teacher, because you know when you're doing your student teaching, all you do is reflections, reflections, reflections until you're ready to kill yourself if you ever do another reflection. But why is it the minute we step foot into a classroom or into our job as a librarian, we stop reflecting? I don't care if anybody ever reads what I've written in my blog. It's not for everybody, it's for me so I can reflect. And what I started doing this year that really helped me out is I always wrote at the end of the week at This Week in the Library at HHS. And sometimes I'd sit down on Friday or Saturday and say, gosh, I didn't do anything in the library this week. But I'd start to write the blog, and I'd be like, holy crap, I did a lot in the library this week. And so I write about absolutely everything that we do in the library, so there's never any question about what it is we're doing in the library. And then I always include the Flickr slideshow that has all the pictures I took from that week in there. And so that's a really easy way for you to be able to keep track of what's going on in your library. And then you can go back and look at it when the next year starts and start back in August or September when you start and say, okay, I did that activity last year, what can I do different this year? All right, Michelle, thank you.
Okay, I don't know what I could possibly add to Nikki and Alyssa. They're rock stars, but I will maybe share a few things that I do a little bit differently. I mean, ditto to everything they said. They were right on with everything librarians need to be doing today. One thing I want every student to know, and every librarian to know, is that you are the best person to market your library. You are that person, and everything you do reflects on that. And so when my students, teachers, admin come through the door, I want them to know that no one belongs here more than they do. You know, this is their place. It's their safe place. It's their place to be challenged. It's their place to be celebrated. So I want everyone to know that as they come through the door. One thing I do, I know Alyssa and Nikki do a lot of PD. I do too. Ours is called Tech Tuesday, and it's a traditional Tech Tuesday where it's a sit and get more of a thing, and they participate. And then I also have a virtual. I have those that kind of, if you just give them the idea or the lesson, they run with it and they're ready to go. And I have those who like me to be there and help them hands-on. So we have both forms of that every Tuesday at the library. So if you have a chance to do that, to be that person for your school, please do that, because that's building connections and that's showing them the library in a new light. One thing I got to start this year is the iCubs Tech Club, because I recently went to a middle school and I kind of threw out the rule book and I thought, well, anything that I ever wanted to do and I haven't gotten to, now's the time. So I have a wonderful principal, Hardy Dodson, and a wonderful tech director, Kevin Bryan, and anything I want to do, they pretty much support me. So we do everything from coding to, we're starting robotics this year. So I mean, I know that's not in the traditional library to do robotics, but why not? You know, we have all the subjects, we cover everything, so I'm really excited about this. I think the first day, the first hour I put it out there, I had like 100 kids come through the door and want to be involved in robotics because we'd never had it before. It's pretty exciting for our little small town, so it's just neat, and it's neat to see the kids get excited about something. And then this was our hour of code that we did at middle school, and again, the kids really loved it. Reading Between the Lions is our traditional book club, and the kids all chose the names, the iCubs Tech Club and Reading Between the Lions, because we're the Lions, and they have ownership of all of it, and they tell me what they want to do, and we make it happen. So, of course, you know, book clubs are not like they were when I was in school back in my day, you know. It's pretty cool to be able to Skype with the author who wrote that book. I never had a chance to do that, and so the technology just makes it so much easier these days. So they do lots of, like, you know, the book trailers, and especially through Vine and some of the other things make it really neat. If you can have a combination of all those different formats, it makes it fun. Getting the word out. I use S'more, really love S'more.
I love S'more too. Totally S'more, like S'more, best way to do.
Yes, awesome.
I'm glad you brought up S'more.
So
yeah,
and I put it out for I use it for absolutely everything. I think Shannon Miller started like 12 techie apps or something before Christmas. I totally told her I was stealing that idea, and we counted down to Christmas break. And the teachers loved it because every little day it was like a little gift in their inbox, and I would put in a screencast, a little tutorial about it, and link to the app, and so they really loved it. And so I decided at the end of the year, I was thinking, what could we do? And I came across Jamie Vandergriff on Twitter, and she did the Great App Exchange, and I love her too. So we did an app a day, kind of the same way, and counted down to the end of school. So little things like that make it fun. And of course, we share all of this with the students. Anything I do, like Tech Tuesday or anything, always the students are welcome to come and be involved in. And I know Alyssa and Nikki both mentioned those library annual reports, and you can do them in S'more. I did mine this year in S'more, and it was so much fun because you can put in the pictures, the graphs, all the stuff you did, and that's where your blogging really helps, because I would forget things we did, and I would look back and I'd blogged about it, and I'd only been at the middle school since February, so I'd only been there about 4 months, and my principal was like, wow, you did all this in 4 months? And I'm like, your students did all this in 4 months. You know, this is what they did. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, S'more, do you want me to?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
S'more is an online tool that you can build newsletters from, and it's free. You get about 5 or 6 that are free, and then you can pay for extra. It's spelled S-M-O-R-E.
Yes.
And you can embed them, you can email them out, you get a certain amount of emails free. It is honestly one of the best resources out there.
And I pay for an account because that's how much I love it.
Yeah,
now there's also another one called TAC that I've learned about here at ISTE that I can't wait to try out. Is that what you use? Okay. She gives it the thumbs up. She gives it a thumbs up. TACKK. Yes. So I can't wait to go back and use that one. I'm really excited about it too. But s'mores is a great way. Did it was like the crime scene tape, and I was like, oh, we so have to do that. So I went over and I got the science department, and they were all over it. And so we created this mock crime scene. We had this person who had mysteriously passed away in the library, and we created QR codes. And so all the QR codes are clues. And so all the science classes came through. It was their opportunity to solve the crime. And I tell you, we had so much fun with that. We did it again in the fall at high school. And we're going to do it again in the middle school. Those science teachers are ready. So this is just lots of fun. So, and again, it's kind of changing the library image. Okay, this has out of necessity. I say, and because I'm a little crazy. But the students would come in. This is when I was at the high school, and they would come in and they would tell me, Miss Cooper, I have no time to come to the library, no time to come get a book. Well, that broke my heart. And I'm like, what could we do about that? So I decided that I would load up a cart of books and push them down to the cafeteria during lunch on Fridays and check them out with my iPad. So the kids decided, well, what if we dressed you up? So the libraries, they're like, we don't want anybody to miss you. So the library assistants created every costume that I ever had. They were awesome. That was their job. And, even the robot. We were just sitting around the library, and they would come up with a robot idea, and we're like, no, we can't do that. That's too far out there. Nothing was too far out there for these people. They loved it. And, of course, I was their guinea pigs, and I never said no. So we had a lot of fun. But that was my chance to get out there and see the students in the cafeteria in a social setting. They weren't on guard. They would just let you come talk to them. I got to know them every week. What have they been doing? Some of these kids on their own would probably never come to the library, but they would look to see me every week, and I would take magazines. I would take anything that I thought they might be interested in down to the cafeteria, and it was a lot of fun. And I really got to know each and every one of them personally, and it was a real blessing to me because I'd been a librarian and I'd been I thought I'd been connecting with them, but wow, I really hadn't been. I'd been missing out on part of it, and so I'm very grateful that the librarians dressed me up. Library aides dressed me up. So again, this is kind of our website, and it's just kind of to be open 24/7, that they can ask. I promised them that I probably wouldn't answer it at 3 in the morning, but they could ask, and I would get to it as soon as possible. Okay, and then again, I just have a website to keep blog everything all in one spot, linked to our library. And this is kind of what I'll end with. If your presence doesn't make an impact, your absence won't make a difference. And that matters. Shortly after I got to the middle school, and I've always been fortunate and had good principals, but I was leaving for the Texas Library Association conference in April. And he said, when you're not here, you're missed. And that meant a lot. That meant that obviously I'm making a difference in being with those kids. So that's my to the choir, because you're here and you're learning. And so I just want you to keep on making a difference. Thank you.
All right. I know that you have some awesome ideas from these ladies that share.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we have a live binder filled with links to some examples.
The rest of the time. So if you need to snap a picture on your way out, you can do that. We have
tweet out the link to the presentation as well, so you can click on all the things.
So we have about 10 minutes for questions. Yes.
Go ahead.
Do you go? Okay.
When you were doing
So.
Actually, Crystal, my librarian, set that up, but I think you just contact them. They have a schedule. Had T-shirts for the kids. They had access. You really had to do nothing. The Overdrive representatives that came out took care of absolutely everything, and even the most jaded high school kids got excited when they went out to the bus, and they were really excited about using the Overdrive app after that as well.